Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm going to talk about some more rods that I have for sale. I've received a lot of questions about the rods that I sold earlier this year, and I probably will about some of the rods I'm selling this year, because a lot of them, probably 75% of the ones that I'm selling, are American company rods, and that's not to slight those companies. They make very good rods, and in fact my intent is to get down to my two favorite rods from each company that I'm keeping, and because I had most of the lineups of all the American company rods, that's why I have more of those that I'm selling than some of the Japanese rods. So before I talk about which ones I'm selling, I thought it'd be some people might find it of interest of which ones I'm keeping. So with that in mind, I'll talk a little bit. Let's start with Dragon Tail, because I've had those probably the longest, and I've had a lot of them. And the two, and it was kind of tough. Actually, I have three, because I'm thinking of pocket rods a little bit separately, because I'm keeping the Talon Mini as kind of a backpacking workhorse as well. But the two regular length rods that I'm keeping is the venerable Hellbender. I use it a lot. I use it everywhere, a lot on lakes when I go backpacking, because it'll throw long floating lines and all the junk and indicator and heavy flies or streamers or whatever I want to do with it. It just kind of does everything for me. So I'm keeping that one, as well as the Mutant. I've said time and time again, the Mutant is my favorite Dragon Tail rod. I don't know why. There's nothing too flashy about it. Just the flex profile, the feel of it is kind of become second nature to me. And even though the Kokoro is a better casting rod, it's a great 360 rod, I just find the versatility and the fun factor for me with the Mutant is just something I'm not willing to part with. So those are the two, not counting the Talon, Dragon Tail rods. And I may have to have a discussion with myself when the Icewing finally does come out, because that was a joy to fish and very unique rod. So those are the two right now. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it, the Mutant and Hellbender, as far as Dragon Tail rods. The next rod batch that I have the most of are Tanuki rods, and I've had a lot. I still have quite a few. I'm keeping the Tanuki 275. As I talked about in the Coco 290 and the Nissan 295 comparison video, I just have a fetish for small rods. I really like the 275. All his rods have similar feel. It's just what length it works best for what you fish, and I just love that 275 rod. So I'm keeping that one, and whichever one of these other three that don't sell, because I kind of can't make up my mind. And so I'll talk about those here in a minute. When it comes to ESZ, I have two right now. So I have the Rivermaster Z2 in the 13-foot, and I also have the dual length Whitewater in the 10-12 foot. So I'm going to keep whichever one of those doesn't sell. I may get another one, but we'll figure that out later. But I'll keep whichever one doesn't sell. They're both great rods. I like the versatility and the length options for the 10-12, but I love the 13-foot feel of that Z2. So can't make up my mind, so I'm gonna let you make it up for me and do that. So the other one would be Wasatch Tenkara rods, and I actually don't have any to sell because I've already sold them. And the two that I'm keeping are on opposite ends of the spectrum. I really like the Darth Quattro. That's 5.5 to 8.5 foot. So it fishes a lot of places where where other rods wouldn't fish or be able to fish. But I just love the feel of it, and the other one is the Rodzilla. So in case I want to catch small Volkswagens or Harley Davidsons cruising down the highway, I will use the Rodzilla for that. So those are the two Wasatch TENKARA rods that I'm going to keep. So the other one, and I'm kind of undecided on where to go with this. When I sold rods, my intent with the TAO rods was I was going to keep this Bad Axe. You know, it's kind of like two rods, right? Two lengths. But I haven't fished it yet, and I'm not sure. They also have another driftless version, you know, small 2-position rod. So I wasn't sure if I'd sell this one and buy the driftless or just keep the Bad Axe. So I'm going to put that one up for sale. Again, let you decide. If it does sell, I'll probably turn around and buy the driftless anyways. So those are the American ones as far as what ones I'm keeping. And some of them I've already talked about what ones I'm selling. So let's jump into, since I don't have any dragon tail rods to sell, let's talk about the Tanuki ones I have for sale. So the first is the Barebones 360 Nymphing Pro. Slick handle on it, beautiful artwork on it, of course, and just a beautiful rod all around, 11 foot 3 inches, great for nymphing, hence as the name implies, a lot of backbone, quick hook set. I've got a lot of rods that I do a lot of contact nymphing with, and if I'm being totally transparent, I'm not a fan of the very slick handle on it. As much as I wanted to, you know, thought I would keep it, it's comfortable. I just like some texture on it. So that rod is up for sale as well. And again, I mentioned I'm keeping the 275 and whichever one of these doesn't sell, so I'm not going to be upset if one of these don't sell. The other one is the Tanuki 375. Red camo, and all of these, I should state up front, are like new condition. I've fished each one, you know, 2, maybe 3 times maximum, with the exception of one of the Japanese rods that I'll talk about. But Tanuki 375, I mean, anybody who's fished the Tanuki rods, and I've always been a fan of his foam handled as opposed to like the Pocket Ninja no handle versions, or again the Barebones 360, which is more smooth, just like the Pocket Ninjas as well. But this rod is a wonderful rod, and for a lot of people that I've spoke to, the 350 and the 375 are some of their favorites. Again, I just prefer, for what I have the most fun with, the 275. The other one, and I had a lot of people try to pry this out of my hands last time, and I didn't do it, but I am going to offer it for sale, and that is the Shinobi 395. And this one is textured. It's just so unique. Excellent blank, which is used in the Riverworks, you know, ZX, you know, family of rods, ZX Pro, ZX4. But it's an excellent rod. It's just exceptionally unique. Also, you know, very expensive. And I should have mentioned this first of all. I'm not mentioning prices right now because I haven't decided yet. I'm going to put those in the description. If you have any questions, you know, feel free to email me or ask them in the comments section as well. But the Shinobi, if I remember right, I saw Luong say that, you know, they were out of stock right now. I didn't know if he meant they're not coming back in stock. They do have the traditional kind of the cork, I'm sorry, the foam wood, if I remember right, or foam cork combination rod. This is the LE carbon handle, and it's kind of like got fish scales, and it is a little textured. But anyways, hey, you know, out of those, that's the one I was going to keep along with the 275, but I figured I had enough interest in it last time that I would offer it this time. I did mention these two ESZ rods already. The Rivermaster Z2, it's a little bit longer collapse length, which makes it, you know, fewer sections and very smooth. I like these, you know, straight grips on them. They're meaty. And then the Whitewater, which is the 10-12 version. I love the ESZ rods. Again, you know, I have too many rods. So those are the two. The Bad Axe I already mentioned with the from TAO. This one actually I haven't even fished yet. That's kind of sad to say. I like the feel of them. They're not, you know, they're very affordable rods. They're functional. They're not flashy, but they get the job done. And the Bad Axe, I remember I saw they were doing like a March Madness something several years ago, and I kept seeing a rod. You know, so they had whatever it was. I don't know if it was all 64 for the final, you know, the March Madness bracket, but like had viewers voting on rods throughout this tournament, and this rod made it quite far, and I had, quite frankly, never heard of them, and I'm not even sure if it wasn't TAO back then. It was the previous, and the name slips me. Sorry, Matt Sment, who had the company before TAO. Tom Bailey bought it, but from what I've been told, you know, there's a big following for that particular rod. I just haven't had the opportunity to use it yet, so I'm not emotionally attached to it yet. The final three rods I have for sale are Japanese rods. The first one is a Keiryu rod. And this is the Suntech Fine Power NP66. So it's a 2-position over, you know, 6.5 meters at the longest length. It's rated for 5x to 10x. So that kind of tells you a lot about it. It's got backbone, it's strong, but it's soft enough to protect 10x tippet. So the only reason, I think I mentioned this before, the only reason I'm not keeping this rod, because it is an exceptional rod and it's not cheap, although I'm going to offer, you know, fair prices on all of these just to make room in my rod rack, and I'm going to rearrange things on the wall anyways. But the only reason is I'm more attached to the Suntech Sawanabori rods, and I have all three, the 53, the 63, and the 72. So, and they're all interchangeable with parts, whereas I don't have that luxury with this, the Fine Power. But it is an excellent rod. If you're looking for a long rod and you want to, you know, you can't get better drifts than you can with a long rod like that. So if you've been wanting to dabble in the Keiryu rod realm, or use it as a, you know, TENKARA rod on steroids, that might be a good opportunity for you. The other two rods, these have cult followings. Everybody knows what they are, you know, are familiar with them. That's the Suntech Kurenai rods. I had the whole lineup. There are a lot of them, the 30, the 33, the 39, 45, 54, and I sold the other three. I kept these two, one because the 30 is, you know, was my first one, and is the most fun out of the bunch for me. And I kept the 39 because that was the one that didn't sell out of the rest of them, although I had a couple, you know, several people interested in them. But when it came down to it, I wanted to keep two of them for spare parts, because all the smaller tip sections and stuff, which are insanely thin, are interchangeable with them. So it's kind of, I wanted to keep either both of them or neither of them. And there is a newer version of these coming out. They're a little heavier, a little stiffer, but these are the original HM, you know, 3039 Rs. So they're a little bit lighter, have a, you know, very tip flex. Just, you know, this is 0.9 ounces for the 30, and even the 39, I want to say is, gosh, was it 1.2 or 1.3 ounces? It's just stupid light. But they're wonderful rods. Again, I have other rods in those range. I have, like I said, I have a lot of small rods in that 3 meter range that I fish, and that 30 is a little bit more targeted towards you know, very small fish or micro fishing, and I just have other 39 length rods that I prefer fishing over that Kurenai, although some people that's their go-to rod. So those are the rods that I have for sale. I'll put the, you know, costs when I come up with them in the rod selection. If I don't have them in by the time I publish this video, shoot me an email if there's something you're interested in, and we'll talk about it. I'm going to be, you know, transparent with the pricing as far as what I typically do is 30% from the retail, although some of the rods, like the Kurenai, they're not for sale anymore, you know, or not produced anymore. They just stopped this year, but they'll, you know, as far as replacement parts, for at least another 5 years is the way the Japanese companies work, plus there's 2 of them if you want spare parts. But some of them may be a little bit more than that, like the Shinobi. I mean, it's a very expensive rod, 450-ish if I remember right, retail. So I'm going to try to be as fair as I can. Don't need to sell them, so I'm not going to give them away. But you know, if there's something that you're really interested in, just shoot me an email. So with that, I will sign off, and thanks for watching.